Welcome back to Big Up, where we discuss the best in vinyl records. Today, we are gonna take a look at some dollar bin digs that I did over the Christmas holiday down in Tucson, Arizona, where my wife's family lives. So let's get started. Little background. There's this great place in Tucson. It's a chain down there. I'm not sure if it's in Phoenix or not, called Bookman's, and they are like a kind of like a pawn shop, kind of like a used video game store, kind of like a used record store. They will basically trade in anything. You can basically trade in anything from money or credit, and I've had some luck there in the past with some good records, and so I thought I'd go check it out. I checked out 2 of the 3 locations in Tucson, and these are what I picked up. I did find some drum and bass, but we also are going to see that I picked up mostly hip hop this time, and it's got me inspired to maybe make a couple more of these dollar bin digs just focused on hip hop because I was really impressed with the stuff I found. So, starting off, we've got some drum and bass. We've got High Contrast, Global Love on Hospital Release 44, with the John B remix of Return Forever on the B side. Little beat up, definitely a DJ copy. It was only $1, so it was an instant grab because I don't have it. I had never actually heard the John B remix, and this was during John B's like real heavy electro phase in the early 2000s. I love this remix. I definitely think that this is worth picking up if you can get it cheap. This is one that I'd probably pick up full price if I saw it out there in mint condition. Next, we've got on Fruto Recordings, which is Juju. Juju was an American producer from San Francisco, released on Violence, had his own label. He's released on a lot of the big labels throughout the year. He no longer makes drum and bass. But he did release some great stuff on his label Fruto, including this Grade Packer. It's a little bit generic, liquidy stuff from the early 2000s. I still dig it. I think Greg Packer's a great liquid producer, and I'm glad I picked it up. Now, one thing I do want to point out, there's a Chemical Recordings sleeve, and it says $6.99. I didn't notice this at the time because I'm like 90% positive this had a $1 sticker on it, but she charged me $6.99 because the $1 sticker fell off, or they never put it on there. I'm not sure which one. So be careful when you're out there. I probably overpaid for this one a little bit, but it was still a decent tune, so it was well worth it. Next, we have on Defunct, the great Defunct that we've talked about before. We have Soulful Behaviour Volume 2. I forget who was actually on this. Let's take a look real quick. So this was actually in another sleeve for Subtle, and I was pretty disappointed to find out this wasn't not Subtle. Subtitles. And I was pretty disappointed with the Subtitles release. But it's an A&B. It was only $1. It was definitely worth my $1. I've talked about Defunct and how I think they're a great early proto liquid label. That one happened to be Total Science and Comics, so I would have picked that up for $1 either way. But it would have been nice to get the whole EP. And then last on the drum bass tip, we've got the Connections EP out on Prototype. I saw this and instantly grabbed it. It was $6.50. Still extremely cheap. This has Bad Company's The Pulse 2000, Codename John's Be With You, Trace's Sonar, Ed Russian Optical remix, and Into Warriors Into Special Forces remix. Special Forces, if you don't know, is Photech. This is an amazing hard step, late 90s record that was put out by Groove Rider or Codename John. This was an Instagrab. I've had the A and B side of this for a long time, and the vinyl was mint. even though the sleeve's a little old and beat up. All 4 of these tunes are amazing. I think that Be With You by Codename John, which is Groove Rider's production name, might be my favorite tune that Groove Rider's ever done. Both the Trace and the Bad Company tunes are amazing. The Into Warriors, Into Special Forces remix is just some like drum break workouts that are dark and heavy and exactly what you expect from Photek. This is like a classic record that you should buy on site. I got for $6.50, which was an amazing price. Highly recommend it. Go out and find that one. It's worth a full price for that one. Now we're getting into the hip hop. There was quite a bit of hip hop. I probably could have bought more of it. There was a lot of really good stuff for really good prices, but I didn't want to spend too much money. I also, I had to fly back with these records, so I wasn't trying to go too crazy. I just got the dollar bin stuff that I was really into. Once again, when I say dollar bin, anything under $3, I always like to think is like, so basically, $1.50 aside is what I would consider kind of dollar binish stuff. So we've got Soul, Salt on Everything that's on Anacon. Anacon is a great underground hip hop label. They do really experimental stuff. Soul is the founder of the label. It's got this, the A side of this is my favorite, which is actually, it's the A side, and then the B side is just the instrumentals. Salt on Everything's got this guitar hip hop drum track with guitar samples, really interesting. The Prettiest Horse kind of lost my attention, but My Head Hurts was great. It featured Sage Francis, who I think is an amazing hip hop artist. This is like right out of my period of when I was really heavily into experimental left field hip hop. I would buy this again in a heartbeat. It was $3, definitely worth $3. Next up, we've got for $1. This must have been the old sleeve. Freeway. All right. Freeway is a rapper from Philly, and he got signed to Rockefeller, as you can tell, very early, and he made like one album and a couple like minor hits on Rockefeller, and he's been now just releasing on a bunch of stuff. He even released some stuff on Rhymesayers. I originally actually learned about Freeway from an interview with Aesop Rock, where he was saying that he was his favorite rapper at the time, and that was back in the early 2000s. And this was like one of the main singles off that Freeway album. You can still find it, the video for it. It's a decent tune, definitely worth $1. Definitely worth it to get the instrumental. That's one of the best reasons to get hip hop records is to get singles is to get the instrumentals. I would pick this one up for $1 in a heartbeat again. Next, we got Slick Rick and Dougie Fresh. I think this was supposed to be a bit of a comeback tune for Slick Rick after he got out of jail. And it has 2 tunes, Frozen, and the A side is We Turn It On, which I think was supposed to be the main single off of this, featuring Dougie Fresh. It was supposed to be it's kind of a hard hitter, vocal workout. It's him showing off lyrically. I like Slick Rick. I've always liked Slick Rick, and I'm a big fan of Dougie Fresh too. I was hoping this would be a little bit more reminiscent of Lottie Dottie, but it wasn't. It was still definitely $2 pickup, definitely worth it. The sleeve's in great condition, the record's in great condition. All it does is it does have this cutout right here, which I'm assuming was because it was a DJ promo, and they have to do that before they sell them or get rid of them to try to reduce the value to basically make them worthless for collectors. But it's still worth $2 to me. Next, we have I Self Devine, Aesop Rock, and Cage on Natural Sounds. Now, I'd never really heard of Natural Sounds, and I didn't know that Aesop Rock or Cage I know Cage was releasing stuff on other labels during this time period, because this is the Def Jux time period. And it's all, and I Self Devine was releasing stuff on Rhymesayers back then. I was super impressed with this. 3 really solid tunes. I really, really liked the Aesop Rock tune, Numb, in parentheses, to Guns. That was worth the purchase right there. $2. Next, Cage does the Cage thing. It's grimy, it's dirty, it's lyrically compact, good stuff. And I Devine, not my favorite tune by him, but it was definitely not something I'm turning away from. I would pick this EP up again, and I would probably pay, $5 for it. It was that good. So I picked it up for $2. So I'd keep my eye out for that one. I think because it's on a weird label. I mean, the label's Nature Sounds is a Brooklyn label, and they put out a ton of amazing classic hip hop, which I was unaware of. But I think the fact that you see these names on that, it kind of flies under the radar. I'm kind of surprised this isn't more sought after. Next, we've got Pharoahe, Agent Orange. This was one of Pharoahe's biggest tunes from Ruckus, back when Ruckus was doing, that's back when Ruckus was releasing LP as Company Flow, like the Fun Crusher Plus, Black Star, not Common. Oh man, I'm having a brain fart. Legendary underground hip hop label. And Pharoahe was definitely a big part of that. I have listened to a couple of Pharoahe's albums, and usually like his singles, I like his singles, but a lot of times I kind of get bored with it. And this tune's all about, the underground, like about keeping hip hop real and about keeping it, how we got it. The people in Pharoahe's, his peer group need to like pay attention and be real and all that stuff. It was definitely a decent tune. I picked it up for $3. I'd buy it again for $3. It was an alright tune. Last up, we got Musab, Actin' Rich on Rhymesayers. If I'm going to see anything from Rhymesayers in the dollar bin, I'm going to grab it no matter what. Musab's one of the Rhymesayers, kind of early signed on acts. I think he only released one album actually on Rhymesayers, but he still's featured a lot in Atmosphere's music. This one's called Actin' Rich, and it's all about people buying, acting like you're rich when you can't really afford anything. It's kind of a call out to the bling bling culture of the early 2000s when this came out. I really dug this tune also. It was definitely worth it. It's got beats by Ant, which is one half of Atmosphere. This was pretty great. I would buy this again in a heartbeat too. So that's what I picked up in Tucson. As you can see, you can find great music, all over the place for cheap. If you like what we're doing, let me know what you think. Like, comment, subscribe, all that jazz. We'll talk to you soon.